Good evening, Nick family, and welcome to the Queen's Court. I'm Stephanie, your host. We're here every Monday at 8:30 p.m. And if the Knicks have a game on Monday, then it'll be Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime anything goes live or video drops on this channel. That includes the pregame, the postgame, the shoot around, hosted by Sim, the creator of this channel. That includes the Queen's Court. That includes the controversy with Josh, Uncle Fulio. We got you covered for all your Nick content. You will not be disappointed. I promise you that. Shout out to those in the chat, those listening now, those who will listen later, to all my friends of the show who hit me up to show love in between. Divine from Knicks Real Talk, he's here. JD Sports Talk, Stephen Fox, BA Sports Jetty Network, whose channel is just going insane, and all the others who show love. I can't mention everybody every week, but I do appreciate you. Special shout out to Gmo for helping me better understand advanced stats and its limitations. Every time I reach out for him, he always reaches back. I appreciate that. The Knicks have played 7 games. We are 5-2, first in our division, third in the conference. Are we as good as our record? You know, can we hold on to our early seeding? We have a lot to get into today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined by Ron from Still Knick Fans. If you haven't already, please subscribe to his channel. Him and his partner John put out great content. They're a part of the MBK fam, so be sure to support them. And I'm happy he's on the show for the first time. I'm joined by Sergeant Nicks, aka G-Man from the Part Couple. Him and Cornerstone Kev have a show. I believe it's Thursday on Blanche Tears. He can talk to you more about that. And lastly, I'm joined by Divine from Knicks Real Talk, my brother. His channel is blowing up also. So again, if you haven't already, please subscribe. I appreciate you guys for coming through. Let's get to it.
Salute, sister. Salute.
Yeah, how's everybody?
Yeah, we good.
Awesome.
Great.
Sergeant Nicks, when is your show? I said it's Thursday. Is that true?
That is correct. Thursday, 6:30, unless the Knicks are playing. If the Knicks are playing, then we kind of jostle the show because, in our estimation, nothing tops the Knicks playing basketball. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So we moved the show.
Right. I'm usually Monday. The Knicks played yesterday. I moved it to today.
Yeah.
Divine, before I get to Ron, update us on when your show is, Knicks Real Talk.
Yeah, usually, it shifts and changes, so it varies, because of Knicks basketball this season. But normally I get in the morning show, normally the day after the game, just to go over the recap of the game the night before. Or, I might go on the pregame either that day at 5 o'clock, or maybe I'll just do the postgame. It varies, with mood I'm in or stuff like that. But you can catch me out there, man. I'm out there. I mean, I'm all over the place trying to get it popping like you guys. So, but y'all just look out for me, man. All these great content creators that is out here, man. But we out here doing our thing, man. Salute to everybody. But Queen, thank you for having me tonight. Real talk.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Appreciate you. Ron, Still Knick Fans, I believe they have a show tonight. Can you talk a little bit more about that in your channel?
Yeah, so we do have a show premiering tonight. This is our standard show that we normally do on Mondays, but as Steph said, Knicks played on Monday, so we kind of moved it to premiere tonight. It's our normal show. This show is pre-recorded, so it's basically a recap and prediction show. We recap the games that took place last week, and we predict the games that are going to take place this week. Our picks.
Awesome.
So definitely check that out. That's premiering right after the Queen's Court. It'll be at 10 o'clock. And then you can also catch me doing post games live after every Knick game at certain points. And we're going to have something new that we're going to give to you. Still not going to say anything too much about it until we drop it, but it's coming. And when it drops, that'll be some extra content that kind of includes Still Knick Fans and NBK. So look out for that.
Yeah, welcome to the fam, and you guys always been a part of the fam. Appreciate it. I'm real. I consider myself really blessed because all three of you have your own show, and this is Knick season. So everybody is doing their own thing, and so for you guys to take time out Even when it's a day you off, because you're on so much, you want to be off, So I appreciate you guys for accepting the invitation and coming and to chat with me about the Knicks. We're going to talk about the last week's 4 games. We'll talk a little bit about the upcoming games, and then a few topics in between. So let's get right to it. Last week we played Philly, Chicago, New Orleans, Toronto. We were 3-1. We beat Philly. We beat Chicago. We beat New Orleans. We lost to
The Raptors.
the Raptors. I just want to bring up this slide. This slide is just a reminder of what happened, right? Because it was 4 games ago. So this is just a reminder. Some of you may even remember what happened, right? But for those who didn't, this is just a reminder. From the Philly game. If you remember, the Knicks played very well against a good Philly team without Ben Simmons.
Yep.
Mitch played Embiid very well, if you remember. Chicago was 4-0 coming into that game, undefeated. And the Knicks went in and they won that game in Chicago. Levine and DeRozan did not shoot very well. RJ was creating off the dribble. He defended DeRozan very well, on that last play. And then I'm just going through this real quick, and then you guys can definitely talk about it. New Orleans, we played. They were without Zion, without Brandon Ingram. I thought we should have blew the team out, but okay. We had a big lead. We kind of lost it, which is kind of like a kind of theme for these Knicks. Anyway, and then Toronto, who was also without Siakam, who's been out all season. Somebody else was out. It escapes me.
The rookie.
Yes, Scotty Barnes, who's been
Scotty Barnes.
He's a rookie, but he's been playing very well for them. I believe he was leading them in scoring, like 9 rebounds a game. So that's not a small feat to say, oh, a rookie was out. He's been playing pretty well for them. Anobi had 36. Gary Trent Jr. played well. Randle had 18 points in the first quarter, 22 for the game. Something seems off. We could talk about that. We could talk about that a little bit. But what stands out to you guys about last week, those 4 games? Ron, I'll start with you, then I'll come to Divine and then Sergeant Nicks.
All right. That sounds good. Well, first off, let me just say, I'm realizing this cup follows me everywhere I go. So it might be time for me to get a Nick cup, but whatever. I guess the big takeaway for me from last week, well, there's 2 takeaways that I can point to quickly. One is the way we played against Philadelphia. I think that's something we can hang our hats on. The Knicks came out and they took care of business, and they did it in a very professional and good manner, in which everybody on the team contributed, and they did great on defense, and the offense was clicking. And I especially liked the way Mitch played in that game. Right. And then the other thing that I can point to quickly is the play of RJ Barrett against the New Orleans Pelicans. Right. I thought that was huge. I think we saw a little bit of a coming out party in the Chicago game. He had 20 points. And then in that New Orleans game, it just skyrocketed to the next level with his 35. Right. He had a great game. So that's what I point to.
Absolutely. Divine?
Yeah. For me, first of all, 4-1. First of all, we came out the gate 4-1. We playing some good ball. And, obviously, the Philly game with the Kemba Walker's coming out. The coming out party for the Knicks. Finally got into the groove after being off, for a while. Robinson played well against Embiid. What I did love in that game was the way they, how would I say the right words, when they sagged in on the defense, and when Embiid got the ball, they let Mitch, hold for maybe 5-6 seconds or whatever, and then somebody had collapsed. Whether it was Evan Fournier, whatever, Kemba Walker, they would then collapse on him. And by the time he really got that ball out to them guys, the shot clock was kind of real low. Then it became a kind of bad shot thing. So I like the way they did that on him in the Philly game. Chicago, it was the defense in the first half, obviously. They was balling. Randle was passing that ball around very well that day. You know what I mean? That 13-6-9 was phenomenal. 16-9 because he wasn't selling. Even though his shot percentage was bad that game, but he still wasn't forcing the ball. He was getting to the guys in the right spots. And obviously, RJ at the end of the game, Mitch played well So that was really really good thing to see in that Chicago game. New Orleans got out the gate again hot, and then they let them young guys stay in there with that energy, man, and we didn't match their energy, and they almost came back and beat us there. Mm-hmm. So, I think we got to do that. And obviously yesterday was just a punch in the face for me. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't want to put in too many statistics. They came punch us in our face at the second half of that game. I mean, I'm just going to be real. And, and that's what I think what stood out to me is one problem I have with all that to say is we giving up too many points. We getting leads and we getting lackadaisical, and we letting these teams get back into these games. So I think that was Achilles' heel that we got to fix. But other than that, man, I was glad with last week, though.
Yeah, 3-1. Sergeant Nicks?
So first and foremost, let me say this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'm on Queen's Court. Y'all don't understand what's going on right now. I'm on the Queen's Court. Boy, look,
I appreciate you.
I have arrived. But Steph, I appreciate the invite. And when you call, I'm always going to answer the phone. Trust and believe that.
Appreciate it.
So I'm going to be the wet blanket. All right. So here we go. Right. I try to put things keep things in perspective. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna take you back one game prior to the Philly game, which was the Orlando game that we lost. So losing that game, the Knicks came out playing Philly with a new fire in their belly. They came out and said that we're not going to lose this game regardless. I don't care who's on the court. We're going to play team ball. We're going to play fundamental basketball, and we're going to run Philly out the gym, which is what happened. But what the Knicks tend to do is we tend to become lackadaisical as we go on, depending on who our opponents are. And we saw that in Chicago. So you remember we had I think it was like a 19-point lead at one point in the game, and we allowed Chicago to get back into the game. In my mind, I said, okay, well, that's not good because this is going to carry over to the next game. And sure enough, here we go. We're playing the Pelicans with no Zion and no Ingram. But we allow these young kids to get back in the game. We give them life. We give them hope. And I said, you know what? I said, Self said, stop it. Stop it, G-Man. Stop it. I was like, no, Self, you're going to listen to me right now because I have a bad feeling about this Toronto game. We legit got out-hustled the entire game. The first quarter was our only quarter. And I think that, I don't know what Tibbs is going to have to sit down and tell the team, but this can't be what systematically we do throughout the rest of the season. It can't be. We got to figure out how to close games out. And I've always said this, Steph. I've always said the third quarter is our Achilles heel. I can tell how the game's going to go after the third quarter's played.
Right. Yeah. So actually, you bring me right into that's a great segue. Because I want to talk about the Knicks overall. I mean, I want to talk about Randle. I'm going to talk about RJ. We're going to do that as well. But just the Knicks overall, we're going to get right into it. Are we a good team? Or I think we are a good team. I guess the question is, are we as good as our record says we are? And the point I'm trying to get at is there's some good teams that are 500. There's some good teams that may be under 500. One of the things I did with the upcoming schedule was to look at strength of schedule, like who these teams have played so far. Right. And some of these teams like Cleveland, that's 4-4, they had a tough schedule and beat some good teams. So when we were 5-1, that was the question I had. Are we a 5-1 team? Are we getting drawn into this record that we have 5-1, thinking we've arrived? And I don't know if the Knicks felt like that. It might have been just the fans. But I guess the question I have is, are we as good as our record says we are? Right now, we're first in the division. We're third in the conference. What do you think? I'm going to start with you, Ron, then I'm going to try to mix it up. But anyway.
All right. Bear with me, guys. I don't know if you see what I'm doing. I'm trying to leave some soul finger said I never leave any meat on the bone. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Yes, I think we are as good as our record. I actually think we're better than our record shows right now. We're 5-2 currently. I think we should be undefeated right now. If you want to say, hey, okay, the Orlando game, it was a loss. It was a learning moment. It was a teachable, opportunity for us. Fine, I'll take it. So I think we should be 6-1. And I think that's a true 6-1 because I think there was 3 games we could have won down the stretch with the last 3 minutes of the game. If you just play the same basketball you was playing for the whole rest of the game, the other 3 quarters, you win the game by at least 10 points. And if that happens, then as I've said on multiple occasions, then the rest of the league is looking at the Knicks like that is the best team in the league right now. That's what I think would be happening. But that's my opinion.
Okay. All right. Divine.
Absolutely. I agree with Ron. And we should be better, but at this playing 7 games, it's really early in the season, man. I mean, it's really hard to put a stamp on this stuff because we haven't even really gotten into the flow of the season. I mean, if you ask me a question, maybe 5 games now, 10 games. Yeah. But I would say, I think we are, but other than just our defense and not the defense that it was last year, we are really having a problem in that area. I'm not concerned offensively because we got enough guys that no matter if one is not shooting, the other one going to be, we're going to score. I do think we are good as our record said we are, and I do believe we could be better. We just got to tighten up our defense, man. We just not the defense team we was last year. It's understandable with the acquisition of a couple of new players and Mitch finally with Noel here. You know what I mean? It's a big part of Mitch now that played 30-something minutes and having Noel in there. I think we miss him from a defense standpoint. But I do think we are good as we said. We beat some good teams. We beat Boston. I know went down to the wire, double overtime. We all was there. We know we beat Philly. So we beat Chicago. We beat some teams that's up there in the standards, but we still haven't played the Miamis of the world and the Brooklyns and the Milwaukee, which we got that test coming up Friday. We'll see. But I do think we good as our record said we are. I'm definitely confident that we get this thing together down here, and we get on the road for sure.
Okay, Sergeant Nix, and then I want to come back. I'm trying to see. I'm gonna go to you, Sergeant Nix, but I do want to talk about our defense as well.
Gotcha. So, first of all, I'm gonna crucify Ron and Divine for making me be the bad guy right now, right? So here we go. So I'm gonna tell you about our record. Our record is what it is, right? I think that at this point in time in the season, we could be as good as our record says that we are, but we are not consistent at all, right? Because the same style of play that we played against Philadelphia should be the standard across the board. That should be the style of basketball that we play every night. If that was the style of basketball that we played last night, Toronto, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. There would just be another tick on the chart and we're moving on to the next game. When you allow teams to get back into the game when you're up 19, 20 points, something's wrong. Something is wrong, and that's what needs to be addressed. I believe that the team could do great things, but we just have to do it on a consistent basis.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When we were 5-1, I was like, I'm not, just the way we played, the way we was giving up leads. Yes. I was like, I mean, obviously you are who your record says you are. So in that sense, yes, we're a good team. Mm-hmm. But like Divine said, and like Sergeant Nick said, there's some things we definitely need to shore up. And if we don't, I don't think Tibbs is doing that. I don't think Tibbs is looking at it 5-1 and 5-2, and he's happy with what, with what's going on. He's not. He understands what this is about. He understands that you can win and still have things that you need to improve on. And that's basically where we are right now. But we got some things we need to work on. And one of them things is our defense. And the question I have is, do you think this is a effort issue, which can be corrected with the people we have? Mm-hmm. Or do you think this is a personnel issue? Whereas, yes, we can get better, but don't think we're going to be the defense of last year because we just don't have that personnel. What's your take on that, Divine?
I do think the personnel makes sort of a difference because Alva Payton was a big difference at that point guard spot defensively. I really do believe that. Reggie Bullock was as well. But I do think it's about effort too, and I'm quite sure if we go up later, you look at some of this play, you look at some of that game last night. I've seen some of that most non-hustle plays I've ever seen before.
Yes.
I mean, it was like, okay, I've seen a couple plays where you just letting this dude do this to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just believe that it's because I think we play an overall good team defense. Though we giving up 110.3 points, that's unacceptable. You know what I mean? We should be around 102, 103. But I also do think that it's coming out that gate against Boston, I just think that game, a double overtime like that, man, and then going on and you playing Philly and Embiid and all them got them some good dudes down there. We just ran into a bunch of good teams. You know what I mean? We played Chicago is a very good offensive team. So a lot of our energy, I think, is definitely getting wasted because the way we play in offense now, where we moving the ball so much, we running around, we shifting around. I do think that when we get to the defense and as the game go on, both of them can't work because you're gonna be tired and guys out doing all that moving around. And then time you get to the third quarter, that's a lot of energy wasting because of the motion offense we playing nowadays. But I think somewhat personnel, but I do think it's more effort than me than anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I mean, I agree with what Devon said. I think that from a defensive standpoint, and this is one thing that I was watching ESPN this morning, and that's exactly what he talked about, right? The thing they keyed on was, are the New York Knicks off, or they declining? They were number one in defense last year. Are they declining this year? So, I don't give a lot of credence to what the media says because they're always going to find that little thing that latch on and put that little string and just put on it. And next thing you know, your sweater, that was a sweater, now it's a halter top. So I'm not going to give them any credence, right? But I agree that, the coaching staff has to be able to put these guys in the best situation possible for the team to succeed, whether it's on the offensive end or the defensive end. But the thing that I saw last night had nothing to do with scheme. It had nothing to do with the plays that were called. It was strictly about hustle or lack thereof. I'm telling you right now, I'm sitting here watching this game. I'm like, you really? You're going to let this little dude just blow by you and you're just going to stand there with your hands in the air and look at the ref like you're supposed to get a call. Man, stop playing with me right now. You are a professional basketball player. That's not what we do. That is we. I'm not a professional basketball player. That's not what you should do. How about that?
Right. I mean, this is what I'll say. There's the stats, right? Defensive rating, offensive rating, defensive opponent field goal percentage, and then there's the eye test. Right.
Yes.
As far as the stats are concerned, since the beginning of the year, our defense has been declining. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The first 3 games we were 12th.
Right.
Last week we were 27th. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And now what I will say about defensive rating is, it's compared, if you played a tougher schedule and you played tougher teams and you played a really high octane offensive team, you could play good defense. It's just hard to hold them down. Somebody else can have a better defensive rating because they played like Chicago. Their first, few games, they didn't really play anybody. They played Detroit twice. They played New Orleans. And I think they were number 1 or 2 in defensive rating because the team that they were playing just weren't offensive juggernauts. It's just easy to hold them down, right?
Right.
So you could put something on the defensive rating, but you gotta also go by the eye test as well. I think in terms of opponent field goal percentage, meaning what percentage are we holding teams to? The first 4 games we held teams to 40.6%, which was 5th in the league.
Absolutely.
And last week, the last 4, we held opposing teams to 44% shooting, which was 12th in the league, and 32.4%, which was 15th in the league. All of that being said, I'm not sure how we're going to be able to do it, but I know we said last year if our offense was better, we'll take a drop in our defense because it'll be a net positive, and it has been. But I just think the defensive drop has been precipitous. Like it's just too much in my opinion. And it's hard to find two-way plays, right? So when you upgrade your offense, sometimes your defense is going to take a hit. But it's when I saw how Toronto played, that reminded me of us.
Yeah.
You know how we played last year. We would get into you. Our hands was always in the passing lane. Nothing was easy, right?
Yep.
I don't know if we have the personnel to do that, but I do think, as you said, Devon, the rest of the panel said, if the effort is there, it should be a little better, right? And we're going to need that because we're going into a tough stretch. We're going to talk about this a little bit more. We got Philly again. They're going to be ready for us. We got Milwaukee, who's been dealing with a lot of injuries, so I'm not sure if they're going to be full strength. We have Cleveland, who's pretty good defensively, a long team, and they're playing well. And then we have Indiana, who's just 2-6. But wait till we get to who they've played. Like they've played some tough, teams out of the gate. So we're going to have to be on our game next week. But all in all, I do think we are a good team, but there's definitely some things that we need to shore up, and we can't get blinded by being 5-2 first in the division and feel like we've arrived, so to speak. Right. We still going to have to put in that work, and we still going to have to improve.
It's Steph.
All right. Yeah.
Steph, real quick. You know what? Before you move to the next segment.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Another reason why the defense looks crazy to me, we playing down to the competition. Our best defensive game was against Chicago and Philly.
Yep.
Right.
We let Cole Anthony run amok. We wasn't expecting that to happen. We let New Orleans run amok. So I think we playing down to the competition too. We taking these guys for granted. Like Tibbs say, they are NBA talent. That's why they're here. And I think a lot of them games that we playing down to the competition. That's why we blowing these leads. Like we got these guys. They no big deal. And next thing you know, them young boys they got heart too. You know what I mean? And I think what happens. So I think the defense definitely got to stay focused to 48 minutes. No matter who you playing, you got to go hard for 48, not 46 or 45 and a half, whatever. And I think that's been a problem with the defense as well, man. We get these big leads that we think we good, and that's really been a problem for us. And I think we got to fix that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing before I move on is our bench. Our bench was 20th last week in points. And our bench is important to us, right? It's definitely important. The first 3 games, our bench averaged 41 points per game, which was 4th in the league. Last week, those 4 games, the bench averaged 31.8 points, which was 20th. In the league. So I definitely noticed in the Toronto game, like that bench didn't give us the boost we usually would get. Like even last year, and I know this is a different year, but if our first team starters wasn't doing well, that bench would come in and would just turn it around, right? And that's just not happening. I think last week, I can't really think. I mean, Rose played okay. I don't think he was vintage. Quickly's been struggling. Obi is only playing because we're not going small ball. He's stuck behind Randle, so he's only playing 10, 12 minutes a game. Taj is played okay, but then he got hurt. Any concerns about the bench, or we're all just trying to gel right now?
I have a concern. I'm going to tell you right now what my concern is. My concern is that I think that the old additive of saying when you're a young man growing up and your mama said you start smelling yourself, you think you're grown, you can go out there and do what you want to do. You ain't got to listen to nobody. That's how I feel like the bench is right now. I think that they are listening to all this publicity coming in talking about, this is what New York Knicks bench does. This is what these guys do when they come in. So that takes away from the team chemistry. What I saw last night was not team basketball. That's a bunch of individuals trying to score the basket. And they're taking bad shots. There's nobody boxing out. You got what 16 turnovers. That is unheard of. Unheard of. You let Toronto get second and third opportunities on the offensive end. Fundamental basketball is what we're talking about right now. So the bench. So I know y'all got people watching this, right? Because it's Queen Steph. So I know y'all watching this podcast, right? So I'm gonna talk to you right now, bench. I need for y'all to get off your egos, you know what I'm saying, and come back down to earth where the rest of us, common folk live at, and play basketball. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are things that are not going well, but if your bench is playing well, you win anyway.
Yeah.
And that just didn't happen last game. But last game, so much didn't happen, in last game. But in terms of the entire week, there's some things we definitely, as we said, we need to work out. But yesterday's game was just, yeah.
I mean, I was just going to say, I was really mad at the effort. The effort is what, look, I'm not one of those Knicks fans that everything that goes wrong, our team stinks, we got to trade this person, that, this person sucks. No, I'm not one of those people. I'm looking at, the biggest thing I look at is how you play the game, how you move the ball, how you, share the ball with your teammates, and your effort on offense, and not just defense. Defense is, of course, you need the effort, but offense. Offense is key too. And the Knicks lately have not been looking for each other on the court. People are wide open and they're missing them. I'm not the best basketball player, but I think if you put me on the court, I'm going to see somebody that is open to the right of me, because in my mind, I'm a facilitator. That's how I played ball. I try to get everybody else open. And I thought when we brought in guys like Kimba and Fournier, and I thought a guy like Burks, who is a jack of all trades and can do a little bit of everything, guys like this, I think you would be able to see what's going on around you, and you would get your teammates set up for opportunities, but it's not happening. And I just wanted to say one thing before you move on, Steph. I think we made a mistake. I didn't want to look at it before, and I refuse to think that we, getting rid of two guys made us such a big impact on the defensive end, but it definitely did because of what positions they played. I think if you're going to go out there, and I'm only thinking about this now. I don't know why I didn't think about this before, but if you're going to go out there and bring in Evan Fournier, why do you need Alec Burks? Why?
It's the same player.
Wouldn't Reggie Bullock have been better to keep for these purposes? I get what Reggie's limitations are, but if you're bringing in Fournier, he's going to be in the starting lineup. Bullock can come off the bench and give you that defense. I just think we made a mistake with that. I think we undervalued the importance of Reggie Bullock and what he gave to this defense, and now we're suffering because of it. And I don't think the Knicks are really going to be able to solidify themselves as that top defensive team again until they bring in another type of defensive guard or wing player to fit in with this team. That's going to take us to where we want to be. But right now, people just don't have the ability.
So you're saying that it's a personnel issue.
Yeah, I think
the effort will help us some, but it's a personnel issue.
Yeah, because
really want to take it.
Right. The effort will get you so far, right? And it definitely keep you in games and the hustle. But at some point, you're going to break down when you play top competition at certain positions, that the matchups is just going to eat you up. So I think, personnel does have a little to do with it.
Yeah. I think we said this last year when we were talking about Bullock or Burks. I think a lot of people did say Bullock, but have him come off the bench, right? That we needed somebody in that starting lineup to play that 2 or 3 position, depending on what we were going to do with RJ, and to have Bullock come off the bench. I think, and I said this on another show, is like you lose in fantasy basketball because you didn't have enough assists. And then the next year, you make sure you're going to have enough assists. And when the draft is over, you got 8 point guards, and I think the Knicks may have overcompensated because our shooting was so bad that we're going to go out and we're going to make sure we get shooters. And that was a good thing. We needed to do that. But I think we did it at the expense of defensive players. And The only issue I have is that if your offense is off the charts, like say if Brooklyn had Kyrie and their offense is just off the charts, you could kind of get away with that.
Right.
Our offense is very, very good. I think we're still
top 1 or 2 in the East, basically.
yeah, I actually have the do I have the slide? Yeah, I do. The Knicks are an offensive rating. Last week we were 7th. The first week we were, is that right? Yeah. Last week we were 7th. The week before that we were 9th. Is that correct? I might have
Yeah,
last week we only averaged 100. This past week 112.3 points. But we could tell that the ball just wasn't moving the same way it was that first game. But our offense is it's still top 10. You know, our offense is still top 10. But our pace has slowed. Our pace is back to pretty much where it was last season. Like we started out like very quick pace. But right now, our pace is, last week it was 30th, which was last in the league. And that first week it was 17, it was 14. And I think, here we go. And I think overall we're 28th in pace. So we're kind of back to where we were last year in terms of you know, playing quicker, playing quicker, so to speak. And like we said, with stats, it depends on who you play. Some stats are going to look worse because you play tougher competition. Some teams are going to look better statistically because they play weaker competition. And it's the sample size, as I think Divine was trying to get to earlier, is so small. It's so hard to say who's good defensively, who's not defensively, because there's only been 7 or 8 games. So we're pretty much going by the eye test at this point, right, with the small sample size. And I think for me, with the eye test, we're not the same defensive team. And my concern is we're very good offensively, but we know how shots are. Like sometimes they fall, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't fall, and it don't even have anything to do with what the other team is doing. That's just that's just the nature of shooting.
Of the ball. Yeah.
Right. And I would love to be able to fall back on our defense some. I don't think we're going to be 4th, but if we was 10 or 12, I would be a little. If we end up 10th or 12th, the season is still early, I would be happy.
But we aren't.
Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, but we aren't as bad as we look right now. This is not us. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, we're looking worse.
The way we're playing basketball right now is not this Knicks team. They're better than this.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, we may not be as good as last year, but we're better than this. Yeah.
If you look at the overall number, which is not bad, you know, and I do think that pace going to also have a lot to do with us getting turnovers on defense, getting up the court a little faster, getting fast breaks. You know, if our defense is playing good ball, we commit turnover, we get to run more. You know what I mean? And then I think another thing that we kind of getting into at the end of the game, we going to ISO Julius. You know what I mean? But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But Julius got to get that ball out of his hand quicker. That game we lost against I can't recall what we lost of
Orlando.
No, excuse me. We won the game, but with Chicago, they started icing that last 2 minutes of the game. They started icing Julius. They kept doing the ball movement, and Chicago set their defense and blitzed us and got back in the game. You know, and I think, you know, we just got to keep doing the same that we've been doing from the beginning. See, to move that ball around the perimeter. Don't let their defense get set up, because once they do that, it's a wrap. And I think that's what happened with that Chicago game. They start throwing that ball to Julius. They're going one-on-one, and everybody's standing around, and Chicago was collapsing.
Right.
And I think that's what had a lot to do with our pace. You know, you got to keep moving that ball around, because I think the games we lose, and you look at that, you can't ISO. Just do what you've been doing. Move the ball around, get an assist, because the numbers that you show, we fell off of that category. But I do think that pace got a lot to do with that end of the game ISO ball, and when our defense is not committing turnovers,
right?
You know what I mean, getting up and down that court. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So perfect segue into Randle. I want to talk a little bit more about that, because the last 2 games Randle wasn't ISOing. and he really wasn't engaged in the game, in my opinion. And it was still the same thing. They were like, he wasn't ISO against New Orleans. We barely squeaked that game out. And against Toronto yesterday, I don't know what happened after the first quarter. He wasn't ISOing and we lost. And so I feel like we're in this conundrum, so to speak, where ISO Randle creates problems for us. We're not moving the ball around. And then this disengaged Randle that's passing the ball around, not really looking for his shots. That's tough for us, in my opinion, as well. Like he took 9 shots against New Orleans. I just feel like, and people are like, oh, wow, but the ball was moving. He wasn't ISOing, but he took 9 shots. Like, I feel like if we're going to win, we're going to need Randle to take more than 9 shots. I think that in that Toronto game, he don't have to ISO. He don't have to hold the ball to the last second, before he passes. He doesn't need to do that. But Randle has to be engaged in this game. And I know a lot of fans, I'm looking at the chats and on Twitter, a lot of people are down on Randle again and really believing that we need to trade this guy, that ball movement is going to get us there. And this is what I got to say. You need bona fide players if you are going to be successful in this league. And in my opinion, people may disagree. Randle is a bona fide player. Does he have faults? Yes, he does. There are things that he needs to change and grow. Yes, he does. But if you think for 1 second that Randle taking 9 shots is good for us as a team because the ball was moving, I disagree. We got to find other ways for the ball to move and Randle still be involved in the offense. That's what I got to say about it. I'm interested. Devon, we'll start with you. Ron, Sergeant Knicks.
Yeah. Real quick, for the ISO thing, Julius haven't been ISOing all year. Just them last 2 minutes of that game. Let me just make sure he haven't been ISOing like all year. Just them last 2 minutes of that Chicago game with his ISO situation for his pace. But other than that, you know what? We got a good team. We got scores down there. We got RJ can score. Fournier can score. And Kimba can score. And so it's going to be nice. Some guys might not have to do that. And I think, listen, we 5-2, man. So I'm not going to beat up on our team that much because I do think we 5-2. Right. Randle is he can have a night like that because he's earned that right. This man been putting up 24 and 11 last year, all year long, each and day, every day. He put his friend out on his back. I'm not even concerned about Randle's couple of shots. It's the beginning of the season. We 5-2. He just had a young seed come in the world on the road, probably thinking about his daughter when we was in New Orleans, Chicago, probably thinking about a little seed he just had. Things happen like that. It really, them dudes are human beings. They are human beings. They got families. Knowing he just had a brand new birth of a child. He on the road to Chicago, here in New Orleans. His mind could be somewhere else. That's possible. Not making no excuse for him. I'm not concerned about Randle one bit. Randle will be right where he was next year. I'm not, he's just that good of a player. But yeah, you're right though. The 9 shot is concerning to a degree, yes, but it's early and I'm not concerned because I know Randle's game. And I know he's been doing this whole season last year.
Right.
Randle gonna put up 24 and 11 this year. It might be 22 because we got better scores on the team now. But I'm not concerned whatsoever because it's early and because of that situation. So that's what I guess I can say, Stephanie. But
we have his stats actually. We'll put up his stats. But this is my thing, Devon. That my concern. He's looking the past 2 games. I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about his game. I'm not concerned about his game at all. But I'm concerned about his body language. The last 2 games, he just has not looked there. Right. Now, is it because, like you said, he has a child now? There's a lot, there's a lot going on off the court. Maybe that's distracting him. It's possible. That's fine. But I'm just hoping that he's not getting so frustrated with this team. I'm hoping he's not getting frustrated with the fact that his role has changed some, and that he has more help around him. And sometimes he's not going to be the focal point. If Tibbs decide he's going to draw up a play for Kimba or draw up a play for RJ, I'm hoping that that's not the issue. Because this is what I will say. never underestimate the ego of an alpha. And Randle, make no mistake about it, is an alpha. This is his team. And yes, I need help, and y'all can come in and help me, but y'all ain't coming over here and taking over. And RJ had some pretty good games. And it's not just his scoring, but how he was scoring. So there is a part of me, and I hope I'm wrong, is wondering, is his ego having a problem with having to possibly share the marquee, so to speak, with RJ?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, that's a fair question. It is a fair question. I think a lot of people are starting to ask that in the Knick community, in the chats and media. But you know what? When I look at it like that, I look at like RJ and Randall kind of built this together. Like
Absolutely.
they've been
That's
here
how I
together.
feel.
This
That's how I
this
feel.
team turned around because of the two of them. You know what I mean? Like Randall had his coming out party last year and it turned into the most improved. And we were all like, yo, we got one. We were all going, the rest of the league, all the Knick haters, yo, we got Randall. We got one. He wants to be here. It was one of those things, right?
Right.
Now that we're in a new season, there's some new personnel. There's maybe a little bit new style of offense. It's the same offense, but it's tweaked a little bit.
Right.
Now it's becoming a little bit of a little testy phase right now. Randall's got to figure out exactly where he belongs in this offense. I think that's the case. I think the problem is he's got other stuff going on, like Devon mentioned. That's all true. That's all in the back. You're a human being. But then on the court, you got 2 games in a row where Randall did not play well. His shot wasn't falling. And coincidentally, in those same 2 games, RJ was on fire. You know, he was doing his thing, and he was helping carry us to a victory and big parts of why we won, right? So you got all that. Then you got the other thing that I'm noticing with Randall. He's getting different pressure. He's the man on this team, so they're pressuring him, they're doubling him, or they're giving him shows like they might be coming, but they're not coming. And he's not thinking fast enough on the court to make the right play. And because of that, he's having bad turnovers each game. And this is another key that I noticed. Randall's been complaining about this in the last 2 or 3 games, definitely 2 games. If you guys look, if you watch the games again, he is calling out to his teammates, doing this. Talk. Guys behind me, say something. Guys on the court are not talking to each other. They're not telling each other what's going on. And Randall, he don't got eyes in the back of his head, and he's a brute. He comes in with force, but he's not finesse and he's not quick. Some of his things are deliberate. So he needs people to talk to him and let him know what's going on. And I think what the Knicks need to do, or should I say a couple of Knicks players, specifically Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose, who are good buddies, right? I think they need to go up to Randall, them 2 alone, and be like, listen, whatever's going on in the court, we got you. We're going to get you the ball. You just continue to play your game. You move the ball. When you get doubled, we'll be right there for you. We got you. And we'll make sure that the game moves smooth. The point guards need to go to Randall and make him feel comfortable. Let him know, we're going to get you the ball. Don't worry about it. Other people going to eat, but we're coming back to you. You're our big dog. If they do that, I think they'll be fine. But I think this team is not talking right now. That's what I see.
Okay. Sergeant Nicks.
Wow. Yeah, look. So remember when
All-star panel. This is an all-star panel, Sergeant Nicks.
It is. Look, remember when Ron said he was going to leave some meat on the bone? He lied.
He lied.
I'm just telling you, America, Ron lied. I'm telling you right now. But hey, I agree with everything that has been said thus far. I think my take on where we are right now, I agree with Divine as far as we're still early in the season. We're only 7 games in. There's a lot of growth to have. We added 2 additional players, which upset the apple cart because those 2 players are now, for all intents and purposes, I won't say dominating the ball, but they got their hands on the ball a lot. So, and I don't think when you're talking about a Kemba or Fournier, they don't really respond well when their shot's not falling. They start taking bad shots. They start forcing things, and they're out of the headspace in which we're supposed to be playing team basketball. I think that's one of the things that Tibbs is definitely going to have to work on. I agree with everything you guys said about Randle. I don't think that Randle is going to be a problem. I think that what he has to do is not necessarily Randle per se, but the team. The team has to Ron's point, the team has to sit down with Julius Randle and say, Randle, we understand what you're worth to this team. We understand that you're the focal point of this team. You are the thing, the engine that keeps us going. And we're here to support you, whatever that means, right? And they need to take on that role. But he needs to hear that. Because I'm telling you right now, how many times have you woken up, went to work on a Monday morning, and this little person is in your ear, that little woodpecker just get on your lap, tap dancing on that nerve, the naked nerve, just tap dancing, and they don't mean no harm. You know, they're trying to be the bubbly person on Monday to get everybody up, but you're irritating me right now. I don't want to hear your voice at all. Now, go sit down in the corner and be quiet. So what words mean something, right? But if you don't express yourself in the proper way, then those words can be misconstrued into something different. And I don't want to see that happen, because I've always said this on numerous platforms as to the Knicks don't have chemistry problems, right? So we don't need to develop those problems now. I need for the coaching staff, I don't know if they need to go play top golf. I don't know if they need to go boogie boarding. Whatever it is that you need to do, Knicks. I need for y'all to go ahead and do that before this game against Indiana, so you come out and you play in team ball. When we play team ball, I believe we could beat any team in the NBA. I promise you that. But what I saw against Toronto was not team ball. That's playground ball. You know, when you come out and you write your name on the chalkboard and be like, I'm next. I got Steph, Ron, and Devon, and we running. We won at 4, but we're gonna take all 5 of y'all because we that good. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's what we do.
So let me just. Randle's stats is not really that much different than last year, right? Last year was 24 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 45.6% field goal, 41% from 3, and 3.4 turnovers. Through 7 games, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 6.3 assists, not shooting as well, 42%, 3-point field goal, 37.5, turnovers, 3.3, pretty much the same. And what this tells me is this is pretty much the same on non-shots, pretty much the same on having just 18 points in the first quarter, hardly any. Can you imagine if he would have stayed aggressive throughout that game against Toronto? The Knicks would have won that game, in my opinion, easily, right? I'm not sure what's going on. So Randle is delivering for us. Is there some things that he needs to get better at? No doubt about it. For me, I just need him engaged. If Randle is engaged, I don't have a problem with his game at all. He may hold it a little bit sometimes. All right, fine. But when he's engaged, in my opinion, he's one of the best. That's just my opinion.
Steph, you said something a few minutes ago that rings true in my ears right now as I'm looking at these stats, the eye test. Because these stats, if you look at these stats, you would not believe what you saw from a Julius Randle on the basketball court. Because as I look at these stats, and stats are stats, right? But the games that I watched the last 2 games specifically that I watched Julius Randle play in, do not equate to what I'm looking at with
I agree with that.
These stats that I'm looking at right now, right? So okay. I think that when we talk about the thing that's most important to me, so if you come down the court and you are 0 for 10 the entire game, but we are down by 3 points, and Ron comes down court and Devon passes Ron the ball on the break, and he hits a wide open 3 and wins the game, that's impactful, right? I'm talking about impactful plays. So stats are one thing, but I trust the eye test and I trust body language. I'm a very good judge of character when it comes to body language. And something's wrong with Randle right now. I don't know what it is, and we talked about it. I hope we get it fixed in the near term, but I mean, I'm glad that he's on the glide path to do what he did last year, but I need for Randle to be better than last year, to be honest.
Hey, Steph, can I chime in on that real quick? Just last night, I know the RJ and all that stuff. That wasn't the issue in the first quarter. He scored 18 points.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
RJ wasn't the issue. Kemba Walker wasn't the issue. Fournier wasn't the issue in that first quarter. I'm going to tell you what the issue was last night. Anunoby gave him the business.
He did. It
wasn't Fournier. It wasn't RJ Barrett. When he came out blitzed that 18 points, Anunoby said, okay, you know what? Let me get in the game. Anunoby shut that boy down the rest of the way, dropped 36. Randle he just wasn't, after that, when Anunoby brought it back to him, that whole game changed.
It was over. Yeah.
I agree.
But that tells us something, though. I'm a little concerned about that in terms of your mentality, because the good ones, they going to come right back at you. You might have 36, I'm going to have 38 or what have you. And even if I don't score as much as you score, I'm going to be engaged in that game, and we're going to get the win. So that is definitely a concern if Anunoby was giving it to him and he didn't give it back, and he just started passing the ball around. That's definitely a concern. Do you think what's your basic opinion on Randle? Everybody has the fan base is split on Randle. Do you like him? Do you like his game? Do you think we can win a championship with him as one of the players we count on? Right. Yes. Are you in favor of trading Randle, or do you think he's a keeper? The fan base is I've never seen a guy who did as much as Randle did last season still have a fan base so split on him. And it's not even, he played well for us, but he needs to get better in isolation, or he did well for us and he needs to get better in terms of passing the ball. He isolates and he doesn't pass the ball enough. And so we need to get rid of him. Like, it's just really harsh in my opinion. But for each of you, what's your basic opinion on Randle? Do you like him? You like his game? And do you think we can win a championship with him as one of the players we count on?
Yeah.
Ron?
No, I do. I think but you got to build this team correctly. The team as it's constituted right now is not championship team. You got to make sure you got the right pieces in the right positions. You don't have to have an all-star at every position, but they got to give you what you need in order to make that engine run. And Randle, I think, look, this sounds crazy. I don't know if it sounds crazy to people. I loved Carmelo Anthony on this Knicks team. I was so happy when we got him. I wanted him here in the worst way. I was mad that we got the Carmelo Anthony at that, age. I wanted him here younger when he was in his prime, because Carmelo was a monster. When we got Carmelo, he was a great bona fide scorer, a threat. We saw the numbers he put up for us, and he had the big 60, 61, 66-point game, whatever it was. But defensively, he wasn't a great defensive player. He was fair, if you will. He could stand in front of a man, but he wasn't that good. And as an all-around basketball player, you look at Melo's numbers, the assists were lacking, the rebounds. He could rebound here and there. He had his moments, but it wasn't consistent. Randle gives you assists. He leads the team in assists at the power forward slot. He's a double-double machine. And his defense improved last year. Now, all-around defense,
top 10 in his position.
Right. Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say. And his defense in the paint was phenomenal. So Randle gives you a lot more than Carmelo did at that same age, same time if you compare it. The only issue with Randle is just that sometimes it seems like his head is not in the game and he doesn't give us 100% effort. Ever since the first preseason game, and we looked great in that first preseason game. I mean, that's the blueprint for what we thought the season was going to be. Randle dogged it on a couple plays, left dudes open in the corner. It's not about being a great defender, but be close enough that you can make a play on the player. Sometimes Randle's just lost out there. I don't know if it's just he's looking at something, because I think sometimes he be looking on the court, like at what's going on, and while he's looking, he's not moving.
Right.
Because
But he's
there's no
saying what's
reason for
going
him.
on. Look at yourself. What's going on is that
Right.
the guy was driving right past you and you could have helped. That's what's going
Exactly.
on. You
And
know?
last night's game was a bad matchup, So I don't know if everybody else looks at it that way.
Yes.
I'll be honest. I saw Anunoby as a really good defensive player, and I didn't give him credit for his offensive prowess. This man, he can ball.
Yes.
And when I looked at, if you look at the plays on the court, Anunoby is getting everywhere faster than Randle. So one, I think there's a limitation there. Like, his speed is faster than Randle. So Randle's got to try to keep up with this guy. He's running him all around the place. He's doing backdoor cuts. And the thing about Anunoby is this goes back to Tibbs. I don't want to be long-winded about this, but we didn't prepare as well as they prepared for us.
Exactly.
Their personnel plays a certain way. And Anunoby, if you put the ball on the floor, he can't get to the rack. He don't got a good handle. Did we allow him to do that? No, he was moving without the ball, getting to his spots and getting easy shots. And we didn't play well. It was a little mismatch as far as Randle's speed and Anunoby's speed. It wasn't a good match. And so I think that's why it looked horrible last night. So,
yeah.
But I like Randle.
Okay. Anybody else? Your basic opinion on Randle? Do you like him? Do you think we can win a championship with him as one of the players we count on?
So this is what I'm going to say, Steph. I understand. I've been a New York Knicks fan my entire life. I'm 52 years old right now. So I've been a New York Knicks fan longer than most people have been alive, right? So when I tell you what I'm about to say, I need for you to take credence in this, right? Knicks fans are very, how shall we say, wishy-washy, right? So when things are going your way, we're high. When a guy has a bad game, then the first thing out of your mouth is, I want him, his family, his cars, his baby mamas, all that on the next thing smoking up out of here, and bring me the next best thing, or who I think the next best thing is, because mainstream media says that's the next best thing. So I say all that to say this. When we start getting into basketball, do your research. Don't take one game and crucify a person. Because I'm telling you, when you go to work every day, you're going to have a bad day. And that day, people are not going to talk to you after that for about 2 or 3 days. And they're going to be like, Ron, you okay? Can I speak to you today? You know what I'm saying? Is it okay for me to say hello? I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Because 2 days ago, you cussed me out just for saying hello. You know what I'm saying? Can I talk? I say all that to say this. Julius Randle is the quintessential cornerstone of the Knicks organization. There is nothing that this organization is going to do without the input of a Julius Randle. I'm going to tell you where we are failing at right now. Julius had a solidified offense and defense going on last year, and he was solidified in his role in that position, right? So now what you do, we upset the apple cart. We bring in a Kemba and an Evan Fournier and say, Julius, this is what we want you to do. We think, right? So what happens when Evan Fournier goes 3 for 13? What happens when Kemba goes 0 for 14? Who does the ball go to at that point? These are all starting players. You're starting 5. So what happens when that happens, right? So do you want me to be Julius Randle of old, or are we still trying to figure out what the hybrid is?
Yeah, and you know what? That was actually what I was thinking. There are some players who cannot play off the ball. There are some players who play better with the ball in their hands and with other players playing off of them. Now, the guys I'm going to mention, I'm not saying that Randle is these guys. I'm just bringing them up as they're ball dominant. Iverson. They built the entire team around Iverson because he was ball dominant. They wasn't bringing in nobody else that was ball dominant.
That's
LeBron, Westbrook, all of these guys are ball dominant. So when you're running an offense through these other guys, Randall is not he's not somebody, in my opinion, yet that can play off of a guy set up in the corner while the other guys are doing their thing and they're gonna pass it out to him and he's gonna take the shot off the pass.
No.
That's just not his game.
No.
His game is the mover of the offense, spraying it out to all of these guys. And I think we've been a bit unfair because I think that's what he's been doing.
It is,
He has been spraying that ball out to everybody. Even when he's in ISO, it slows us down. It does slow the pace. But I don't think he's being selfish. If a guy is open, he's going to pass it to him. So he's not selfish, in my opinion. I've heard that as well. I don't see him as a selfish player.
No.
I just do think that sometimes he holds the ball too long. He can make that decision a bit quicker.
No.
They built this team around Randall in the sense that not defensively, they did not, but offensively, they brought in players so that when they're playing off of Randall and that ball gets to Kemba, unlike Bullock, who'll just take the shot, Kemba can take the shot. He can drive. He can pass it to somebody else. Fournier can do the same thing. So they brought in guys who they felt can play off of Randall, but can also initiate the offense as well in Randall's absence if he's on the, off the bench. So offensively, they constructed this team very well, which is why we're in top 10 in offense. They did a good job there. I just think they were a little far, they didn't think about the defense as much. He just needs to, I think it's just going to take time. I just think it's going to take time. I think we can win a championship with Randall as one of those guys we count on.
I agree.
I think people are underestimating what it takes to be, and I'm talking about last year, what it takes to be a number one option on a team, to have to produce game in and game out. Offenses are keying on you and you still performing and they are keying on you. Not that you're not going to have a bad game. So when people say RJ is the number one, RJ has never been in that position yet. He's never been in that position where he's the number one person on the team. And how you perform or don't perform has a lot to do with whether we win a game or not. He's in a cushy position right now because he's on it, and which is good for him in his development. He's on a team with other people, right? He's not that number one where they gunning for you. They trying to lock you down every game and you still have to perform. So let's relax with RJ. He's coming along nicely. I'm an RJ fan. His great game is growing and developing, but let's stop with that. This is RJ's team. RJ hasn't proved anything yet. He's still growing. He's still developing, and let's allow him to do that. Anybody else before we move on?
I just want to chime in on Randall. Randall, his numbers ain't like your guys said. They different from last year. And I agree with Ron 100%. Sometimes Randall just have mental lapses. And that's about the only concern of his I have with his game is his mental lapses. It won for Julius Randle, we'd be in a bubble last year. Let's get that out there. It won for Julius Randle put the franchise when he put the franchise on his back last year and made us relevant in Tom Thibodeau. We would have been in a bubble. Randle is that dude. I mean, listen, anybody could score a triple threat from 3, inside, mid-range, post up, whatever. This man got an all-around game. He do it from every part. He could pass the ball. The man, he's not having a bad season, and I understand that Nick got when we lose the game and things happen. Hey, Miss Westbrook started off the season terrible. Now he's going to start balling.
Right.
It's so early, man. It's so early. Now come to me, like I said, halfway through the season and stuff is going on. Then I'm going to be concerned.
Right.
Randall is that dude, man. That dude. Like I said, he doing what he got to do. They brought him more scores around him. Those numbers might not be the same as last year because you got guys who can score the ball down. And if you want to get to a championship, you got to have some guys around you who can put the ball in the hole. If not, we ain't going nowhere. And I don't think Randall or RJ got a complex. Them two grew together for 3 years. Them two been playing ball together for 3 years. To me, that's Giannis. They're gonna be Giannis and Chris Middleton to me.
Yep.
Right.
Right. Yeah, right. And I think RJ respect Randall game enough to know that. He know this is Randall's team. He know who Randall is, and so I hope that the fan base chill. That boy good, man. I think Randall is that dude. I think Randall gonna help us get to where we got to go eventually, whether we got to bring in somebody else or not. But I think he's gonna be part of getting us to where we got to go. That's
right. And you made a good point. It's not just one person. If we're gonna win the chip, we're gonna need both RJ and Randle. So all of those who think, oh, let Randle just I heard one guy say, oh, the 2 games that Randle has been out of it, we've been moving the ball more. Okay, and we lost one of those games and barely squeaked out another. I mean, if you think we're gonna win without Randle being Randle, you bugging out. We need Randle to be Randle. We need RJ to take that step. We need Kemba to do Kemba things, and I'm very impressed with Kemba because he's doing Kemba things. You know, we need Fournier. Now I'm like, now we talking. I don't want to hold you guys. We got so much more, so I'm gonna have to skip over you know some things. I wanted to talk. I'm just gonna ask this one question on RJ. I did have a video. RJ stats too, if we bring them up, are pretty much the same as last year as well.
Right?
Yeah. So he averaged 17.6 points last year. He's averaged 18.6 this year. He averaged 5.8 rebounds last year. He's averaging 5.7 this year. 3 assists last year, 2.6 this year. Now he's shooting better. 44.1% from the field, 51.1 this year. That is impressive.
Wow.
It's early, but it's still impressive. 40.1% from 3, now 42.9% from 3. But statistically, just like Randle, statistically it's the same. But the eye test tells us it's different. And what's different to me is he's not just a catch and shoot person waiting for somebody to generate a shot for him.
Right.
He is somebody that can now go out, as Josh Uncle Fulio could say, and can get a bucket on his own. And he's getting them when the game is on the line. Like his confidence is soaring. So what are your general impressions of RJ, and what do you think his ceiling is?
Well, I love RJ, man. He's my favorite Knick. So as I've said, you know, it's like watching your being a proud father and watching your only son who made it. Like everything he's doing right now is just it's beautiful to me. And I think I can't say enough about RJ. Okay, I've been saying it forever. I can't say enough about this guy. Every year he's in this league, he's getting better at something. There's nothing we can look at him and say that he's not improving on. Right. He's even getting better. Like now we're talking about RJ being one of our defensive stoppers, somebody we rely on. Is he a lockdown guy on defense yet? No. But he's still becoming a great, a really good defender. Not great, a really good defender. Last year we talked about how the impact of Reggie Bullock. But I don't know. I feel like it was you, Steph, or maybe somebody on MBK, one of these shows, had mentioned that RJ's impact on the defensive end last year, numbers-wise, was even more impressive than some of the stuff we were getting from Reggie Bullock. Like it was coming from last year. It started to develop. This year, now that he's the man, he's thrust in that position. So we're seeing a little bit more of it, and he's giving us spurts of really good defense. And I think over time, because the problem when it comes to defense is the best defenders in this league are veterans. Wouldn't you say for the most part? Like there's some rookies that are coming into the league right now who got it. You know, they're going to be locked down eventually. But it takes time for you to play all of the players on each team and understand what they like, what their tendencies are. Then you get your own game plan of how you're going to combat that. RJ hasn't done that yet. RJ's now becoming a guy who's guarding either the best or the second best player on each team. He needs to develop that. And as he gets that, sky's the limit for him. On the offensive end, last year, what did we say? The year before, RJ wasn't a good shooter. He was poor, actually. Last year, what did he do? He improved his spot-up shooting, became like 41%, as Steph just said, from 3. But it was spot-up. We knew that he had a predominance for going left. He couldn't put the ball on the floor and dribble and do a pull-up. All this stuff. What did we see in the Pelicans game? He did every single thing we talked about he needed to work on. He did everything. He went to his right hand. He went to the right side. He went to the left. He had easy layups. He found people. All of it. He did step back threes. Like what? RJ doing step back threes.
Right.
So I'm just saying everything that we want him to do and work on, he's been doing. And I just think that sky's the limit for him. And don't think out there, everybody, that RJ doesn't understand the pressures of being the number one guy on this team. He loves Julius Randle. All that pressure that Julius Randle takes is pressure he don't have to worry about. Just hit me in the corner, I'm open. So that's all I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely different being the second guy and not having to take all of the heat. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure, and that's why I'm very impressed with anybody who's a number one option on any team, because they coming at you, they game planning for you, and they
Every day.
still end up 28 points.
Yep,
right.
You look at Embiid, they gunning for him every game. He still have the stats. Same thing with LeBron, AD. These guys, you just make it hard for them, but you can't really stop them.
One
Yeah.
last point, Steph. I had it and I forgot to say it. I'm sorry, guys. I know,
That's
meat
okay.
on the bone. I get it.
See? You know I'm coming for you, Ron. You know that.
No. But I just thought about something. This whole RJ becoming the man and being the number one option. RJ was the number one option early in the summer. You know when that was? When he was on Team Canada.
Mhm.
How far did Team Canada go? Not too far. And if you say, oh, well, that's the Olympics. No, listen, Nigeria beat the USA team. So
Yeah, they did.
Canada could have made some noise, but that team didn't. They got knocked out rather quickly, and RJ wasn't really dominant in those games. So I'm just throwing it out there. The number one spot is not that easy to obtain and to hold on to. You got to be ready for that, and I don't think he's ready yet.
Yeah. And I think he's in a beautiful spot. You got Kemba, you got Rose, you got Randall. You could just develop your game and be a big part. And at some other time, maybe, look at Harden, right? When he played with Westbrook and KD, nobody knew, but he had an opportunity to go to a team, and he blew up. So if you're gonna be one, you're gonna be one. Nobody is gonna stunt your growth. I hear that a lot too. This one is stunt. Nobody is gonna stunt your growth. If you won, it'll come out. At some point. All right, let's get into next week. We got 4 teams. I'm including Monday because we play Monday. So Queen's Court next week is going to be on Tuesday as well. So we play in Indiana on Wednesday. Day 2 and 6. Last year we beat them 2-1. Brogdon is out now. I don't know if he's going to still be out. Warren has been out for a very long time, and Karis LeVert is back. Milwaukee, we play. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I think Brogdon might be back.
He might be back.
I'm going to check on that. I think he's back.
Okay. All right. Yeah, please. I appreciate it. Milwaukee is 3-4. Last year we beat them 2-1. They've had a bunch of injuries. Holiday has only played 2 games this season. Lopez has played 1 game this season. Portis, a big part of their rotation, has played 2 games. And Middleton missed the last game that they played. So they have been injury ridden pretty much to start the season. They're 3-4. They beat the Nets, the Spurs and the Pacers. Just put them together, the Spacers. They beat the Spurs and the Pacers and the Nets. But they lost to the Heat. They lost to the Timberwolves. They lost to the Spurs. They lost to Utah. Let me go back to Indiana because I don't want us to sleep on that 2 and 6. This is who they played. Charlotte, who's playing very well. I think they're 5-2 or 5-3, something like that. They played Washington, who's playing very well. Miami, they won in overtime. They played Milwaukee, Toronto twice. The Nets and the Spurs. So they've played a tough 8 games. So don't look at that 2 and 6 record and think that they're not a good team. When you look at the record, start looking at who they've played, that strength of schedule. That's going to give you a little more information. So that is not going to be an easy game for the Knicks. And I'm sure Tibbs is letting them know that. They did win their last game. Is Brogdon back?
Yes, he is. He'll be back for the Knicks game.
He will be back for the Knicks game. Okay.
Of course he is.
Okay. We play Milwaukee Friday. We play Cleveland 4-4. We play them Sunday. They another one that had a tough schedule. But
Mhm.
look at who they beat. They beat Atlanta, Denver, at Denver, the Clippers at LA, and Charlotte. Don't sleep on
Wow.
this Cleveland team. They are starting Marketing at the 3, Mobley, the rookie, at 4, and Jared Allen at 5. So you got 6'11", 7-footers across the
Mm.
back. I mean, in the front court, and then you got 2 speedy guards in Claxton and Garland in the back.
In the
So don't
backcourt,
sleep.
yeah.
Right, don't sleep on Cleveland. They 4-4, thinking that this is going to be a gimme game. We're going to have to play. We're going to have to show up. Rubio is playing well for them, and to me, he's almost like playing that Chris Paul role. Really, really helping them out. And Love is in the rotation and playing well and productive. Then we go back to Philly. After I give this synopsis, then we can I'll get you guys' opinion. Then we go back to Philly next Monday. They're 5-2. Last year, it was 1-2 against them. We beat them the first game, right? Handily, right? And
Mhm.
their team stats is similar to ours in terms of defensive rating, offensive rating, pace. And they beat Portland, Atlanta, Detroit. Since we beat them, they on a 3-game winning streak. They beat Detroit, Atlanta, and Portland. Okay, so we're gonna have our work cut out
Mm.
for them. But I guess my question is, any overall thoughts on our upcoming record? It seems like a little tougher than the games that we've played so far. Any initial thoughts?
So I will kick this off, and I will say this. I will say that until the New York Knicks get their identity together, we're going to be in trouble. We could potentially come into each one of these games and lose if we're not playing New York Knicks basketball. And people they be like, G-Man, you are anti-Nick, you a Nick hater. No, I'm a realist. I'm telling you right now, after what I saw last night playing the Raptors, if we come out with that same type of lack of energy, a lack of team play, we can lose all these games easily. So I started the conversation by saying I believe when the Knicks play team basketball, we could beat any team in the NBA every night, all night. I'm not concerned at all. But we have to get that mindset together. And I have to see that. I have to see that on the court, the eye test. I have to see it with my own 2 eyes. I'm not going to listen to nobody tell me the Knicks of this or the Knicks of that. And it's going to start with Indiana. So I'm sorry, Indy, but normally when the Knicks suffer a loss or they don't feel like they should have suffered, the next team that comes across the radar suffers. So I'm going to apologize to you up front.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I think we go. I would say Indiana. We match up against them well. Brogdon, Walker, Fournier against LeVert. RJ against whoever doing the 3 for them. I mean, Randle, Sabonis.
It might be Holiday.
Okay, Holiday. I think we match up real well against them. I like our matchup, and Julius Randle gives it to Sabonis all the time. That's not all the time. He's a good player, but when he played Julius Randle eats that boy up. I'm hoping we get back on our P's and Q's that game, man, and go down to Indy and try to regroup and take that one. I really think we got a good chance to do it. And Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken, I think Chris Middleton might be in protocol.
Right, he missed the last game, so he may be out.
Right.
He may be out as well.
They've been decimated.
They've been decimated.
Oh my goodness! So Knicks got a good chance to beat that. I mean, they still got Giannis down there, but they got a good chance to steal that. You know what I mean? They lost 3 games for a reason because they are decimated. And I think we got a good enough team to beat them. Will we beat them? I can't say. Cleveland is unbelievable. I mean, them young boys down there got it going on. I mean, you talking about that big front line, like you said. And you got Garland and Sexton. You got Okoro. I mean, you got like I said, they got a good team down there. That Evan Mobley is a monster. I mean,
isn't he playing well?
Yes, yeah. Him and Scotty Barnes to me, and one of the 2 better. Obviously, Duarte playing good, but So we got our hand cut out for us. And Philly, they're gonna be different than Philly. You know what I mean? They're gonna be different in Philly. But I do believe that we can come out there 3-1 if we can steal them 3 games. I mean, and then we go down to Philly and hopefully we can come out on top. I'm hoping that's the case, because if not, the fan base gonna start wilding. But you know what I think, Stephanie? We got to make. I think Quickly and Burks got to get it popping. That's why we losing a lot of these games. Quickly ain't popping and Burks ain't popping, and that's our bench with Derrick Rose. So hopefully them 2 men they get it going sooner or later, and we can get back up playing some good basketball.
So on breaking news, and you guys probably already know this, but it says Love, Harris, and Middleton are all on protocol, NBA protocols right now.
Tobias Harris,
Love, Kevin Love, Tobias Harris, and Middleton are all on NBA protocols right now.
Okay. All right. I mean, that definitely, and I think Embiid, it was just rest though. He said he sat out a game. That was just rest. But listen, we're not firing on all cylinders, so I don't think we can look at it and say, "Oh, so and so is out. This should be a good matchup." No. In New Orleans, both Brandon Ingram and Zion was out. Siakam and Scotty Barnes was out. I don't think don't look at who's playing, who's not playing, and ease up. You got to come out and you got to play no matter what, because it's that letdown where you think all you got to do is show up. That's creating problems for us, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And
I agree 100%.
Yeah, Ron, anything about this upcoming 4 games?
I'm kind of like, with G-Man, I'm worried about every single one of these games, because these are all formidable teams, and we could lose any one of these games. But as I said on my show, I think the Knicks will beat Indiana. I think we'll lose to Milwaukee. I think we'll beat Cleveland, and I think we'll beat Philly. So I'm going for 3-1 out of this, even though I know Philly's going to play us a lot better than they played us that first time around. I just think their intensity is going to be better, but I think we can win a close game. And Cleveland is the one that I hope the Knicks don't overlook, because that game, we not only could lose, we could get smacked by this team, because they running and gunning right now. So that's what I feel like, and echoing the sentiments of what everybody already said and everything they got going on with these teams. I agree, but I think that's what we can do. I mean, look, I'd be happy if we win all 4, but I don't see it. So, but it'd be nice.
Yeah, it would be.
I think Indiana is going to be a tougher game than we expect. And I agree with Devon that I love that Sabonis Randle matchup. But if it's the Randle of the last 2 games, Sabonis is going to win it. But I believe if Randle got his head together, and I believe he does, and he's playing Randle basketball, then I believe that he edges out. There ain't going to be no smackdown, though, but I think he edges out Sabonis in that matchup.
I agree.
I think that if I agree 3-1, I think Philly is going to be the one. I think Philly is gunning for they won 3 in a row since we beat them.
Right.
They probably feel like they should have won that game, and I think they're going to be super sharp. Now, they're going to be without Tobias Harris, but I'm starting to put less. After what I've seen this past week, I'm starting to put less on who's there and who's not there.
Yep.
Because we're not gelling just yet either. Maybe by that time we will be, and maybe by that time our bench will be producing more. I think we really need them to turn things around when our starters is not. And I'll say this about Julius Randle, if he's listening. If you confused, just go back to playing how you was playing. Like sometimes somebody brought that up too. Sometimes you're trying to do things differently. And it's not working. And it's not working for the team. Don't get too cute with it. I hope you're not reading Twitter. I hope you're not reading what the fans are saying. I hope you're not getting into that.
Right.
Play your game. Only thing that matters is your teammates and the coaching staff. And what are they telling you? And if nobody else is telling you nothing, I wouldn't change up anything. Move it around a little more. But but you know what, he does move it. He just holds it so long before he does move it. He does move. He just wait to the last possible minute. Let me just do this super chat. We surveyed 100 people. Thank you for the super chat. Our identity is team defense. Knicks are experimenting so far this season with more offense. But until we get back to our identity, we're going to have trouble closing out games. That's why I like RJ. He's ready. If that's our identity, we're gonna need some more personnel to execute that, in my opinion.
Yes.
But I do think we can definitely give better effort with the personnel we have.
I agree.
We can definitely do that.
Yep, and I also think that people can't underestimate the importance of Nerlens Noel's coming back. That is a big cog in our defense. He's one of our main defense dudes down there. I just think that, I think our defense will get a little better when he's back because he can anchor that second unit, which is Todd's good, but he's not Nerlens Noel. You know what I mean? When it comes to shot blocking and intimidating down there for us, shot blocking. I'm hoping that when we get back, it makes it a little bit better, but our guards got to tighten it up, though, for sure.
Yeah, and well, Josh will do his own controversy. He's not here, so I'm not gonna throw him out there. But I agree. I do think that maybe it'll allow Mitch to get less minutes and come along a little slower, because I think that Mitch is giving us what he has, but I think that I don't know if it's he's adjusting to the weight. I don't know if it's that he's been out for so long. He's playing good, but I've seen Mitch dominate games. I've seen him dominate games, and I believe he has the ability to do so. So it may be injury, whatever, and maybe having Noel come back, play longer minutes, maybe he'll be more fresh. Maybe he can then do more. But it was good to see him get those double-digit rebounds. The last game, the blocks are off. But as someone pointed out to me, and they were right, he does alter shots, whether he's blocking them or not. He does alter shots. So I think we're gonna be okay. I'm not gonna overreact. I'm not concerned about Randle's game. I'm just concerned about his headspace. He just looked a little out of it. And for me, if the Knicks are going anywhere, in my opinion, we need Randle doing Randle things, in my opinion. Yeah. Any last words before we get out of here? Appreciate you guys.
Good, Serge.
I would say this. I would say, and I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks, right? I believe that as long as the New York Knicks play fundamentally sound basketball and share the ball with one another and play as a team, we could beat anybody in the NBA. I have not seen that in the last couple of games for whatever reason. I need for somebody to figure out what's going on there and fix it. I can't fix it. You're not paying me to fix it. So Tibbs, you and your coaching staff need to figure out what's going on, get it fixed before we have to face Indiana, and we go in there and we play in New York Knicks basketball. If you want to give me a gift, give that to me. I need to see New York Knicks basketball at the end of the day.
All right.
Yeah, real talk. Well, Steph, first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate you. You already know that. Go Knicks, man. Just get back on what we do, man. We just got to get back to that grittiness, play some defense. And I'm not concerned about the offense. Let's let Quickly start getting on fire. Let Burks get on fire. I think we scoring 115 now. We still not even clicking yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not concerned with New York Knicks at all. That just for my eye test. We just got to get this thing solidified. Maybe the next 4 or 5. This is a big 4-game swing for us. I think we need to go and capture the 4-game swing and try to get back into it, get on the groove. We're 5-2. New York Knicks fans, stay excited, man. Appreciate the chat. Ron, my brother Sarge, man. Appreciate you, brother, man. We'll see you on the next one. But thank you, Steph. Real talk.
Appreciate you, Ron.
As the gentleman to my right so eloquently said, thank you, Steph, for having me. You definitely, the love is there. I appreciate y'all. NBK fan, salute. And I'm so happy that if I'm going to be on the Queen's Court show, I'm doing it with these fine gentlemen, G-Man and Divine, partners, man. So I appreciate that. Thank you once again. I hope I'm not tripping some people out. The Still Nick Fans episode, it was premiering at 10 o'clock. It's already ongoing, and I'm already getting messages that I'm in 2 places at one time. So, so definitely as we wrap up this show, head over to the Still Nick Fans podcast YouTube,
Absolutely.
and you see that show is going on right as we speak. So thank you once again, Steph. Salute. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. All of you are content creators. All of you got your own shows. We're in the busy part of the Knicks season, so I appreciate you guys for taking the time out to join me. And I was just interested in you guys' opinion on Randle and RJ. The fan base is split. I thought maybe I was going crazy. I said, well, let me get some people in here and see what you guys think. And so I am assured that he's our guy. Yeah,
Good.
and we did a poll. Are the Knicks as good as their record? 68% said yes, 31% said no, 189 people voted. I think the Knicks are for real. Whatever's going on will be worked out.
Great.
We'll be fine. And with that, I appreciate the chat. Those that are listening, that are not in the chat, those that's going to listen tomorrow or the next day or whenever, I appreciate you and all the supporters of the channel and the panel, Ron, Divine, Sergeant Nicks. I appreciate you. And I always listen to you guys' show. Even if I don't drop a comment, if I'm doing progress notes, I got it going. I'll hit your show tomorrow, Ron, while I'm working. So appreciate all of you. All right. And with that, we are out, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. We don't always agree, but we still Nick family. And I appreciate you for coming and hanging out with us. Next week, Tuesday, 8:30, the Knicks play Monday. So we'll be back Tuesday. Appreciate you. We out.